Hello, am I live? Yes, I think I'm live. Hello, class. Good day. Kamusta? I hope everyone is doing well. Today we are going to talk about a very important emotion. We will talk about the emotion of anger or galit sa Tagalog. This is a two-part lecture. So today is part 1 and then my next video will be part 2 para hindi masyadong mahaba. So the way I divided our lesson is like this. Part 1, which is right now, this video, I'll talk about the basic nature of anger. What are the things that you should know about anger in the basic level? Kasi gagamitin natin yon to further understand part 2. Given all these things, how then can we handle anger better? So that will be part 2 of my lecture on anger. Let's go to defining anger. Ano bang ibig sabihin ng anger or galit? If you look at the dictionary, the meaning of the word anger, definitely it is a noun. And this is a strong feeling of annoyance, displeasure, and hostility. Let me repeat, kapag galit ka, you are dominated by the following feelings: annoyance, displeasure, and hostility. Let me just share to you some important details about those three: annoyance, displeasure, and hostility. Number 1, alam nyo, yung tatlong yan, annoyance, displeasure, hostility, very powerful emotions. So you combine those three, annoyance, displeasure, hostility, it becomes anger. It is a very powerful emotion. In fact, let me give you a simple exercise here para i-demonstrate how powerful anger is. I want you to close your eyes and then think of the last time you were very angry. Or maybe you think of the face of a person that really makes you angry. Do it now. Dali, close your eyes. When was the last time sobrang galit mo? Or sino itong tao na to na tuwing nakikita mo, talagang galit na galit ka? Studies show when you do that exercise, meron ka agad mga physical effects yan. For example, your blood pressure increases, tumataas din yung heart rate, so yung pintig ng puso mo, pabilis ng pabilis, and nagkakaroon tayo ng mga muscular tensions because that's how powerful the energy of anger is. That's why it's so hard to disclose, or it's so hard to hide, It's so hard to hide people who are angry. Ang hirap pigilan yan eh. Yung sadness, pwede mo pang pigilan. Pwede mo pang hindi ipakita. You just smile and you have hidden your sadness. But anger, very hard to do. You're very angry inside. Kahit anong pilit mo along the way, lalabas at lalabas yan. Maybe through your face or maybe through your other actions. Magdadabog ka, babasagin mo yung cellphone mo because it's so hard to contain this very powerful emotion. Number 2, regarding annoyance, displeasure, and hostility, anger doesn't feel good. It is not a pleasurable emotion compared to happiness or relaxation. Happiness and relaxation or even excitement, mga masasarap na feelings yan eh. Pag happy ka, excited ka, you would not like the feeling to end, di ba? Pero pag ang pinag-uusapan is anger, definitely it does not feel good to be angry. This is not something that you will pray to God na sana maranasan mo everyday, right? You wouldn't pray to God, Lord, sana ngayon galitin mo ako ng galitin. Definitely not, because it does not feel good to be angry. Kaya nga the last time that you felt angry, let me guess, I can say you did not enjoy the feeling. And last one, number 3, you also have to understand that anger is universal. Everybody gets angry. All people, different cultures, they get angry. In fact, this is one of the emotions na lahat ng kultura merong equivalent word for that. Because in the psychology of emotions, merong mga emotions kasi na hindi present sa lahat ng culture, but not anger. Anger is universal. All human cultures have experienced anger. They know what it means to be angry, so they have words for being angry. In fact, even in the psychology of even in the psychology of human emotions, napag-alaman nila na yung ating mukha pala, whenever we are angry, the facial muscles that move, that demonstrates our anger, is universal. Pare-pareho yung movement ng facial muscles natin regardless of what culture whenever we feel angry. So this is a very universal emotion. So those are some of the basic things that you need to know about anger. Now, let's talk about the myths about anger o ito yung mga misconceptions. Hindi totoo, mga maling paniniwala or in our terminology, fake news. Ano tong mga fake news na ito about anger? Number one, it's not true that males are angrier than females. Kasi some people believe na ang mga lalaki mas laging galit daw kumpara sa mga babae. In fact, if you study the pattern or the tendencies of being angry between males and females, studies show pareho lang. Males get angry, females get angry, they differ in the way they express anger. Iba kasi yun, no? Yung expression iba, pero yung tendency to be angry just the same. Males, for example, when we experience anger, we are more likely to be very aggressive, to be very physical. How about girls? When they are angry, they have a tendency to be verbal. Males physical, girls verbal. Although meron din naman mga exceptions yan. Meron din naman mga guys na verbal at mga girls na physical, but very few. Okay? So again, males, females, pareho lang silang nagagalit, but the way they express anger, that's how they differ. And the explanation is hormonal. Remember, in the male biology, ibang-iba yan sa female biology because the male body is filled with what we call testosterone, a hormone that is connected to sex drive for males and at the same time aggression. So whenever guys see a situation or in a situation that makes them angry, testosterone further intensifies the emotion of anger, making us more aggressive, more physical, more violent in the way we express anger. Yung mga girls naman kasi, although meron din silang testosterone, mas mababa yung volume compared to guys. So, girls, whenever they get angry, their low levels of testosterone does not make them very physical or very aggressive. Number 2, another misconception about anger is it is an evil emotion. Isa daw yan sa mga emotions na kapag naramdaman mo, most likely sasabihing masama kang tao kasi lagi kang galit. Even in our culture, kapag meron tayong nakikitang galit na tao o meron tayong nakikita na galit na bata or galit na student, the first reaction that we do is to stop that person from getting angry. Diba? Kasi we have that belief that that emotion is evil. That is not true. How can I say? Because in the Bible, God's Word, it is demonstrated many times. There are many Bible characters who were very angry. Daming characters sa Bible, galit. Diba? But these people, even if they are angry, it didn't mean that they were bad people. And one of the strongest evidence for this, Jesus himself. Diba? Diyos na yan, ha? Jesus himself got angry. And we can see that in this passage sa Bible. Diba? Remember that story in the temple where Jesus saw people disrespecting God's temple. Ano nangyari? When it was almost time for the Jewish Passover, Jesus went up to Jerusalem. In the temple courts, he found people selling cattle, sheep, and doves, and others sitting at tables exchanging money. So he made a whip. Take note of that. He made a whip. Grabe, oh. So talagang hindi lang to basa-basang galit. Talagang galit na galit. Out of courts and drove all from the temple courts, both sheep and cattle. He scattered the coins of the money changers and overturned their tables. Can you picture Jesus here? He's really mad. To those who sold doves, he said, "Get this out of here. Stop turning my father's house into a market." His disciples remember that it is written, "Zeal for your house will consume me." So to make the long story short, in this passage, we can see that Jesus was angry. Did that mean that Jesus was an evil person? No. Diba? Hindi naman evil si Jesus eh. In fact, siya ang perfection of the picture of perfection. So hindi mo pwedeng sabihin dahil nagalit siya, he was evil. No. Oh, iba pang mga characters in the Bible who got angry. We have Moses. When the Israelites were keep on complaining, Samson was angry. Peter was also angry. You remember that part in the Bible? Jesus about to be arrested. Hinalikan siya ni Judas, and that was the time the soldiers arrested Jesus. Hindi nakapagtimpi si Peter. He was so mad. He got one of his swords, and then hiniwa niya yung tenga ng one of the guards. Those are examples how people in the Bible also got angry, but it didn't mean they were evil people. In fact, may sinasabi rin sa Ephesians that supports this thing I'm saying. Ephesians chapter 4 verse 26, "Do not sin by letting anger gain control over you. Don't let the sun go down while you are still angry." If you analyze this passage, is it saying that don't be angry? No. Ang sinasabi dito, don't sin by letting anger gain control over you. So okay lang magalit, basta you don't let anger control you. So there are anger that can control you, and there are anger that does not control you. If your anger is not controlling you, then that's fine. But if your anger is controlling you, then that's not okay. Pero ano bang ibig sabihin ng anger not controlling you? Later as we go along, we will talk about that. But the point here is, it is possible to be angry without sinning. Ang pinagbabawal ng Biblia is yung nagagalit ka, and at the same time, you are already sinning while you are expressing anger. Meron tayong term dito, no? Anong tawag nyo sa anger na hindi ka nagkakasala? In biblical terms or in theological terms, ang tawag natin dito is righteous anger. Question: Sir, how do I know if my anger is righteous? Again, this is a kind of anger where you don't sin. This is okay in God's sight. Righteous anger, ito yung mga qualities niya. Number 1, first bullet, you still control your anger. You are still aware that you are angry. That's the key word. You are still aware. You are still in control of yourself. Sa Tagalog, hindi nagdidilim yung paningin mo. You can still think straight. Alam mong galit ka, but you are still in control of your emotions. Hindi ka pa nagdidilim ng paningin. Hindi ka nagmumura. Hindi ka nagpumapatay ng tao kasi nawalan ka na ng reason. No, you are still reasonable. Yet you feel angry. That's fine. It's not yet too strong for you to be out of control. Second bullet, righteous anger is good. You have good reason or you have logical reason why you're angry. So kapag yung source ng galit mo or reason ng galit mo is something na meron naman kasi talagang reason, and the reason is logical, in Tagalog, dapat lang talaga magalit ka, then in God's sight, your anger is righteous anger. Like for example, disobedience. Let's say nagagalit ka because people are disobeying God. People are doing something wrong and you feel angry because they are disobeying God's words or God's law. Okay lang yun. Again, we go back to what Jesus did among those people in the temple. Righteous anger yon. Kasi kaya siya nagalit, binabastos ng mga tao yung temple ni God. So he got angry, that's okay. That's righteous anger. Or for example, maybe you got angry because you see evil, injustice, or you caught someone lying. Definitely, you need to get angry. You don't like evil in your family. Let's say family man ka na or family woman ka na. Nakita mo yung anak mo doing something evil like taking drugs or premarital sex, nahuli mo. Oh, syempre, talagang magagalit ka dyan. In that case, your anger is justified. It's righteous because it's coming out of your hate for evil or injustice. Nakakita ka ng matanda. For example, you're walking along the street. Merong matanda, hino-hold up. Nagalit ka dun sa mga hold-upper kasi ang tanda-tanda na nga, hino-hold up pa. Sobrang galit mo dun sa mga hold-upper. Okay lang yun because your anger is out of the injustice that you are seeing. Or maybe you got angry because of a lie. Alam nyo ba, studies show in psychology, one of the reasons why people get angry when they catch someone lying to them. When we catch someone lying to us. Kasi nature natin na we run after the truth. It is within our psyche. When God created us in His own image, it means we have this natural appetite for the truth. We expect people to be truthful to us. We expect people we love to tell us the truth, not to lie to us. So, when you sense that one of these people around you is lying to you, no wonder talagang magagalit ka. And that's fine. Natural lang yun. So that is considered a righteous anger. And third bullet, righteous yung anger mo kapag you are in control with yourself. Actually, this third bullet is connected to the first one because you are still in control, you are still aware of your anger, you are still conscious of the right way on how to express anger. And what is the right way on how to express anger? Hindi ka nagmumura, hindi ka nagdadabog, hindi ka nananakit ng tao. Yan. In that way, we can say that your anger is righteous. Now, I want you to do this simple exercise right now. O, di ba may nakasulat dito, exercise, no? I want you to close your eyes and then remember the last time you got angry. Whenever that is. Kailan yung huling beses kang nagalit? As in, sobrang galit mo talaga. And then I want you to evaluate that situation na huli kang nagalit. Sa tingin mo ba yung pagkagalit mo na yon, that's righteous anger? Again, we go back to the criteria of righteous anger. You are still in control. You had good reasons to be angry, moral reason to get angry, and you did not express any forms of profanity or physical attack. O, maging honest kayo sa mga sarili nyo, ha? Naging righteous anger ba yung huling beses that you were angry? And last one, the third misconception about anger is it is uncontrollable. Marami ako naririnig na ganyan, no? Merong belief na hayaan mo na magalit siya kasi galit yan eh. Hindi mo naman talaga mapipigilan yung galit. Pag ang galit talaga naramdaman mo, lahat magagawa mo. Justified kung ano man yung ginawa niya. Hayaan mo nang binasag niya yung kotse nung kaaway niya kasi galit siya eh. We cannot blame a person for being angry. That is a wrong misconception. That is a wrong idea. Hindi totoo na ang anger, hindi mo nakokontrol yan. Paano ko nasabi? Because the Bible is full of passages that tells us to control our anger. For example, in Psalms chapter 37 verse 8, sinasabi yan, di ba? Refrain from anger and turn from wrath. Do not fret, it leads only to evil. I want you to take note of that passage. Bakit inuutos ng passage sa atin to refrain from anger? Refrain meaning huwag kang pumunta dyan. Turn from wrath. Alis ka dyan. Whenever you feel the wrath, tumataas na yung level of anger mo. Do your best to run away from it. Why is the Bible commanding this to us? My answer, because it's possible. The Bible will not tell you to do something which is not even possible, right? Halimbawa, sa Bible, hindi naman iniutos sa atin na palindulin natin yung mundo. Is the Bible commanding us to create earthquake? No. Why? Because earthquake does not depend on us, right? So there is no commandment, thou shall create earthquakes every week. No. Because earthquake is not in our hands. But the reverse is true. If the Bible tells you to do this, then that means it's really possible for you to do this. That's something, that behavior is within your control, and that includes anger. Kaya wag niyong iisipin na yung galit talagang hindi niyo nakokontrol yan. Pwede niyong kontrolin yan. Maybe it just feels like it's so hard to control it. It feels like it's out of your control. But hey, it is within your control. Even psychology agrees. Alam nyo ba, there's one conclusion that we accept to be true in the psychology of emotions, and that is all emotions can be controlled. As in all emotions kayang makontrol. Let me give you a demonstration. How does that happen? How is emotion how can emotions be controlled? Para makuha mo yan, you have to understand some basics of the human brain. I want to emphasize two parts of the human brain here. This is the first part. This is what we call the cerebral cortex or the top part of the brain. Ito, that's the cerebral cortex. Ang dami mga brain cells niyan. The main function of cerebral cortex is for reason. O, lagay ko dito reason. So whenever you are thinking straight, every time you review, every time that you're taking an exam, you are using your frontal lobe or your cerebral cortex a lot. On the other hand, yung lower region of the brain or this part under the cerebral cortex is called the limbic system. I hope you can see, no? That's the limbic system. The limbic system is the part of the brain that handles your emotions, the emotional part of the brain. Emotions. So whenever you feel emotional, let's say you're sad, you're very happy, you're excited, you feel like crying, you feel like giving up, you feel like you're a failure, anything you feel that is being handled by the limbic system. Now, dito na natin i-demonstrate how emotional control works. For example, nagalit ka. There you go. Nagalit ka. There's anger. Again, that energy, emotional energy comes from the limbic system, right? What the cerebral cortex will do if you are a person of control is the cerebral cortex responsibility is to weaken or push this emotion down or lessen the intensity of this emotion. Kaya nga siya on top of the limbic system, because this bunch of brain cells will try its best to pacify the strong emotion that you are feeling, such as anger. If it is successful in doing it, ano mangyayari? Take a look at this. Ayan, no? So, nagalit ka, the cerebral cortex work, mag-weaken yung intensity. And that's possible. How do you do that? How does the cerebral cortex do that? I'm going to talk about that in part 2. Okay? Part 2 of my lecture. But that's how the cerebral cortex helps you manage your strong emotions. Unfortunately, some people are not like that. Some people are easily overtaken by their emotions. Ano nangyayari sa kanila? So again, you get angry. Instead of your cerebral cortex pacifying, weakening that strong emotion, may ibang tao lalo pang tumitindi yung galit. And when that happens, take a look at the slide, what happens is, boom! That anger na nasa limbic system lang dapat takes over the cerebral cortex. And that is the time that we can say, you can no longer think straight. O sa Tagalog, nandilim na yung paningin mo. Now your entire brain is angry. That is the time that you will be able to do the things that you never thought that you're able to do. Psychologically speaking, we call that emotional hijack. Emotional hijack happens when the limbic system takes over your rational brain. The supposedly rational brain is now full of emotions that you are no longer thinking straight because you are unable to control the anger. And that's not good, by the way. When your anger takes over your entire brain, the Bible tells us, a quick-tempered person does, everybody read with me, does foolish things. Let me repeat, a quick-tempered person does foolish things. And that's true, I mean, you read the news or maybe go back to your experience whenever you are angry. That's the time that you tend to do things that you should not be doing in the first place. Foolish things. Such as what? Ito, exage to. Such as killing human beings. Hindi mo naman dapat patayin eh. Hindi mo naman dapat barilin eh. Ba't mo ginawa? Because your brain was taken over by anger. Only to realize after mo nang gawin that you have done something foolish, it's too late. Wala na, kulong ka na. For a lifetime, you will no longer see your family. You will miss Christmas. You will miss the birthday of your daughter. You will miss the birthday of your wife. Because you have let your anger take a hold of you. Yun yung sinasabi ng Bible kanina, that in your anger, do not sin. When do you become angry and sin? When you allow emotional hijack to happen. Meron pang isang example dito, lalo na to. My goodness. A simple traffic problem, a simple traffic altercation na pwede naman sanang pag-usapan na lang ng maayos led to a person dying. Can you imagine this? Nagdadrive lang siya ng kotse, meron siya nakagitgitan na bike ha. Take note, bike. Biker, bisikleta. Sobrang galit niya, bumaba siya, kinuha niya yung baril niya, and shot that person riding the bike. Definitely, if you are angry, you end up doing a lot of foolish things, as what the Bible is saying. Even in relationships, for those of you who are in a relationship, and let's say you are fighting with that person, please refrain from doing certain decisions while you are angry. Lalo na pag nagsisigawan kayo, nagkakainitan kayo, 'di ba? You cannot get your partner's point, your partner cannot get your point. Umiinit yung mga ulo, don't make any decisions in that emotional state. Lalong-lalo na yung naghahamon na ng hiwalayan, 'di ba? Yan. Marami akong mga na-counselan dati, ganyan eh. They really did not mean to. Hindi naman kailangan maghiwalay, but because they were emotional, while they're fighting, they conclude they must end the relationship already. Na hindi naman dapat, pwede naman pag-usapan ng maayos, pray about it, seek counsel from other people, but before they know it, it's too late. Nagkayayaan na ng hiwalayan and both of them agreed, hindi na nagkabalikan. Alright? So again, it's possible to take control of your emotions. Maliwanag ba? If you have any questions, just post a comment down below. Now, I want to close this short lecture about anger with truths about anger. Kanina, before this slide, I talk about misconceptions, fake news. Now, I talk about the truths about anger, mga katotohanan. Ito talaga yung mga dapat nyong tandaan about anger. Truth number one, the tendency of being angry can be genetics. Let me repeat. How angry a person is can be influenced by his or her genetics. Namamana yung intensity ng anger mo, no? Ibig sabihin, sadyang may mga tao talaga mabilis magalit, may mga tao rin naman matagal magalit. Where is that difference coming from? Genetic programming. Studies have shown in psychology that if your mother or your father are both hot-tempered, parehong mabilis magalit, most likely the baby, their offspring, will also be like that. Kaya kapag may mga kakilala kayong mga classmates or friends who are easily angered, most of the time, malamang sa malamang, the reason why they're like that, it's because genetically speaking, they are like that. Yung nervous system nila is very irritable. Yung konting mga reasons lang, they get easily angry. And that is something that they did not choose. They were programmed that way while they were inside their mother's womb. Kaya dapat maging maging idea yan that we always need to remember. Some people are angrier than others. It doesn't mean they're bad people. It doesn't mean that they are choosing that. It's just that their nervous system is like that. It's easily angered. Very hot-tempered. Good news, kahit naman ganun ka, kahit naman genetics yan, meron pa rin naman tayong mga ways to help these people how to better control their anger. Kaya nga meron tayong mga anger management group. If you have seen the movie Anger Management by Adam Sandler and Jack Nicholson, although fiction yung movie na yon, but the idea of anger management, totoo yan eh. Meron talagang mga anger management groups which the goal is to help people better handle their anger, especially those people who are genetically very quick to be angry. Truth number 2 about anger, there are two types of anger, constructive and destructive anger. We have to differentiate the two. Merong righteous anger, unrighteous anger. In connection to that, may constructive and destructive anger. What is the difference? Kapag ang anger, constructive, it has the following qualities. The anger solves a problem, it brings positive change. While destructive anger worsens a problem, sa Tagalog, lumala pa, and this type of anger can hurt and destroy other people. That's the difference. So just to give you an example between constructive and destructive anger, definitely Jesus Christ, constructive anger. Going back to the temple, because of his anger, namulat yung mga tao. People learned, oo nga no, we forgot we need to respect God's temple. We forgot we need to stop being worldly. So Jesus' anger is a constructive anger because people learned something spiritual because of Jesus' anger. Pero yung destructive anger, yung story ni Cain and Abel. Remember Cain and Abel, specifically Cain, the first murderer. Kasi ang problema ni Cain in the story is God's favor is not with him because of his attitude in the way he gives sacrifices to God. Yun yung problema niya eh. Wala yung favor ng Diyos sa kanya. Oh, so nagalit siya, nagkaroon siya ng emotional hijack, he murdered his brother Abel. In that case, we can ask, nasolve ba yung problem ni Cain by murdering his brother? Did God favored him now? Answer, no. The more, God was not in favor of him. O, diba? Kaya masasabi natin na yung galit talaga ni Cain dito is something that was not constructive but very destructive. And it is this type of anger that we need to be careful. Yung destructive anger. Kasi kapag nakakaramdam tayo ng destructive anger, ano raw nangyayari? It puts ourselves into danger. Sabi nga ng isang slide, anger is only one letter short of danger. And that's true. If your anger is destructive, it puts you into danger. You destroy your relationship, you destroy yourself. Baka atakiin ka sa puso, maraming ganyan nangyayari ha. O, lalo na yung mga matatanda na pwede namang i-let go pero nagalit pa, heart attack. Because you're so angry, another person may also be angry towards you. Barilin ka pa, saksakin ka pa. O, because your anger is destructive, pwede mo namang i-let go na lang, o pinatulan mo pa. And usually, that destructive anger comes from unrighteous anger. You see the connection, no? Pag unrighteous yung anger mo, it increases the chance that your anger will be destructive. Kaya kung gusto mong maging out of danger, make sure that whenever you get angry, it is something that is righteous. Because righteous anger, most of the time, it is a constructive kind of anger. Kaya, I really want you to reflect. I am not asking you to not be angry. Sabi ko nga, unrealistic yon. Everyone gets angry, right? But when you get angry, just make sure to first analyze your anger. Easier said than done. Mahirap naman talaga gawin yan, di ba? Mahirap mag-analyze ng galit ka. But it will save you from a lot of bad things when you reflect on your anger. Is my anger righteous or unrighteous? Is my anger constructive or destructive? The more you think about your anger before you express it, the less danger you will be in. And last one, number 3, anger always depends on you. Anger always depends on you. That's truth number 3. Nakadepende sa'yo kung magagalit ka ba o hindi. Kaya nga sabi ng isang author, and I agree, anger is an inside job. What do you mean by inside? What is your contribution in making yourself angry? How you think about the situation. So that means when you get angry, it only means one thing. It means what? It means you have allowed yourself to be angry by thinking about the angry thoughts. Hindi naman kasi random yung anger, 'di ba? Hindi naman yan yung kapag gising mo, angry ka na eh. Something happens first and then you think about that event and the way you think about that event makes you angry. Kaya ang laki ng implication yan in the way we treat anger. Which one is correct? You made me angry or I let myself be angry? It feels like number 1 is correct. It feels like it. That's why we blame people when we get angry. Kasi siya ginalit niya ako kasi siya nauna kasi siya binangga niya ako kasi siya ginawa niya yan So we blame people for our anger, but hey, again, psychologists will tell you it's not that event, it's not that person that made you angry, it's you because you allowed yourself to be angry. So the correct statement here is, I let myself be angry. Yan yung tama na sabihin mo. Nagpagalit ako sa ginawa niya. Huwag mo sabihin ginalit niya ako. Kaya yung statement na ito, mali yan See? Mali yan. You made me angry, that's not a correct statement to make. You let yourself be angry. Yan ang nangyari sa'yo. Diba? Once you realize that, diba? Malaki ang maitutulong yan in helping yourself better control your anger in the future. Sabi nga ng isang author, and I agree, ang ganda ng sinabi, you can't control the things that happen to you, but you can control the way you react to them. I agree. That's very true. How you react to a situation depends on your decision how you react to that situation. Something happens, may tendency na magalit ka, you have a choice. Would you allow yourself to get angry or think differently para hindi ka magagalit or at least mabawasan yung galit mo? It all depends on you, how you choose to react. Alright, so in summary, ito yung mga napag-aralan natin about anger. Again, I talk about some misconceptions about anger. Males are angrier than females, not true. Anger is an evil emotion, it's not. Anger cannot be controlled, it can. Truths about anger can be genetics, so we have to understand why some people are angrier than others. Constructive and destructive anger are different. A healthy way to be angry is to be constructive in your anger, and that depends on you having a righteous kind of anger. And number 3, anger depends on you. When you feel angry, you have allowed yourself to be angry. So let's stop blaming those people, those situations who we think made us angry. Tayo mismo ang nagpapagalit sa ating mga sarili. Okay, so let me just close with this very good Bible verse from the book of Proverbs that talks about anger. It says, "He who is slow to anger has great understanding, but he who has a quick temper displays folly." And I like those words. I hope you also do. Slow to anger. Yan yung gusto natin. That's our mission. As Christians, as human beings being in control of our minds, we need to be slow to anger. Again, the Bible is not expecting us not to be angry. Slow lang. Hindi agad-agad. Question, is there a way? Is there a way on how to make ourselves slow to anger? The answer, meron. Merong paraan. And that will be the topic for our part 2 of this lecture on anger, where I'm going to answer this question, how can you better control your anger? How do you follow what the Bible is saying about anger, na dapat slow to anger ka? Exactly how? I'll teach you different techniques in the next video. Okay, so I hope you've learned something new today. Thank you for listening. I will see you in the next lecture video about anger. Thank you everyone. God bless. Bye-bye.